I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Lavi.
And Salty and Chip.
Shout out to the big homie, Majestic Demon Lord, Ben Webb, all my friends. I tip my Starbucks to you.
Hold on.
Watch out.
Okay, we're back. We have another announcement. So, Ultimate Musings is going to be going to, if you guys have heard of Game of Thrones, I guess they're doing a concert series again with music from the actual show. So anyway, he got VIP tickets, so he wants to take one villager with him. So if you want, here's his email address. I just putting it right here. Write it down and send him an email. But it's going on in Connecticut, Uncasville, Connecticut. The date is September 28th at Mohegan Sun Casino. So if you're interested in that, you have to be obviously over 21 years of age to go. And it can be, you know, male or female. He's around 47 years old, so he kind of wants somebody around his age, but either way, he said is fine. So yeah, so send him an email if you are interested in going, and one lucky villager is gonna get to go. Like, the tickets value at like $500, so somebody is getting blessed big time through him.
Crazy.
So yeah, send him an email. Make sure you're in the area. Okay.
All right.
Oh, and also you're going to get to meet the composer too. There's going to be, he said, you'll get to meet the composer, have food and drink, see costumes and artifacts and other things from the show. So if anybody lives in the Massachusetts or Connecticut area, give him a message, and who knows? Okay?
Legit. All right, so this is Asylum by Black Dahlia Murder.
Yeah.
This is a band that gets asked for a ton, and we've never done it before.
Sometimes when we have bands that have been asked for a ton, when it gets done, I'm like, I totally can see why. And then other times I'm like, boop, 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 boop. All these question marks pop all up around my head. I'm like, why was this asked for a bunch? So anyway, I don't know. Is this considered Black Fire, or you don't know anything about it?
I don't know. I don't think they're a black metal band.
I'm nervous. The word Asylum makes me nervous.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm like, oh my gosh.
So, I think that's the point. Inshallah.
Yeah, but an asylum doesn't mean a bad thing. Isn't there like a place where you can rest? An asylum isn't necessarily
like if you it's if you're going from one country to another and you're
seeking asylum.
It's kind of like a refuge.
But I think also when people got TB or something like that, like years and years ago, I think they had to go away to an asylum where they would get better. So but to me, the word asylum is just...
That's where I think Holden Caulfield was.
That's right. I remember you saying that. See, you love that book.
I love him. That's my big homie.
Yep.
I need to go full time so I can do all my book club stuff and hang out with my friends.
I know.
And talk about books. All right. Here we go.
Okay. Go.
Wow.
Wow.
Yikes.
That is some shit right there. Wow. I think that it's true, though. You know what I thought of? When you're listening to the song and everything that they're listing off and how it goes, like, that doesn't surprise me at all. But I remember, like, just, like, hearing about, like, well, like, people would call them insane asylums. I don't know, like, what the political word was. That's what I was told that it was. And I remember hearing people saying, Christian people that went to a particular church, I don't know if all churches what they say, but they were saying Christians should never go to an insane asylum. That they said, oh yeah, there was this one time there was this Christian that went into an insane asylum, and they, like, there was like a demon that was in the person and making them crazy, and then the demon jumped in that person, and then they landed in the insane asylum. And I remember when the person said that, I said, I didn't believe it, because I was like, I believe that if someone's there, they need help. And so, like, I don't believe that God would want Christian people to stay away from them. Like, and then hearing this song, like, kind of confirmed that there must be a lot of people that just, they're in there and they're, like, forgotten and then mistreated. And, you know, like, when he said, like, mistreated, and one of the things was that he said was molested, I bet a lot of that happened because if you didn't have family coming in to see you, then people assume nobody cares and nobody's gonna believe somebody that's crazy. So
Sons and daughters, brothers and kings.
I know, yeah.
Sisters and brothers from pictures are trimmed.
Yeah. Because nobody wants to answer those questions. Oh, who's that in the picture? I've never seen it. Oh, that's my brother. He went crazy, so we sent him to the... Nobody wants to answer those questions.
I remember when I went to... Because everybody knows I spent about 6 months in the hospital for that.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at that. That hits really close to home because I had the exact opposite experience. Like, everybody, like, because we didn't have like a giant family. It was just a small core of us, but we were all, I was completely supported.
Yeah, and your mom was right there going after the doctors if there was something that went wrong and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
I was completely supported.
But not everybody has that.
And I had a ton of advocates in my family that had my back and visited me and owned me completely, and nobody was ashamed that I was.
That's sad.
So.
And then
they helped me. They helped me pull through. So. But I do remember being there. You stay there so long, so you just. I'd see this guy and he'd be out for because I was there for 6 months. He'd be out for 2 or 3 weeks and then he'd come back and he was just by himself, completely alone, no family. Our families would come and visit us, or our friends would come and visit us, and you'd see certain people and they'd be nobody.
Did they watch you with your family?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, my brother would come and bring me stuff, and he'd bring me my candy.
You love candy.
And then there's other people and nobody. It's crazy because we went to that city last night, and one of our night drives last night, and I didn't talk about it, but there's a lot of memories of just being there, and some people, like I literally, I was there for 6 months, they were there before me. Yeah. And when I left, they were still there. Or they'd get out, but then I'd see them in the street, and you would know that they're going back there. Yeah. So it's a crazy. That line was tough, where like people being trimmed out of pictures because people are, ashamed of them.
A real living freak show.
And I was a freak show for a while, and my family, I never got the feeling that they were ashamed of me. I never got the feeling that they were always worried about me. They always wanted me to make it, Mm-hmm. And for a while, people didn't know if I'd be able to make it or not. So, but that was the only thing. Like, it never popped in my head that they were ever
ashamed or anything.
So, but I do know that that's You know, that's tough. That's tough that people go through that, and then not just alone, but it's one thing to be alone, like you're in a desert island, but there's another thing where you're alone and you don't have to be. Like people that are supposed to support you are choosing to turn their back on you. Like that's a different level of aloneness, and thankfully I've never. You know, my big brother was kind of like my father figure. You know, he's always, you know, looked out for me. And my little brother, he was weird because I still felt like he, you know, he looked up to me even though I was in a bad situation. You know, so I'm very thankful for my family for that. I don't think I ever really thanked them for it because that's how we were, because all we had was each other coming up, you know, because we were pretty much.
It's not too late to thank them.
No, it's too late for some of them, I guess.
But some of them it's not.
Yeah. So.
Where's the kindness on which this world prides? And then at the end when it said mankind.
I say it's over and over. But what's interesting here is that the excuse for mistreating these people is because of utility.
Yep.
Right? Like, they're not contributing anything to society. Get the fuck out of here. Like,
did you see subdued by pill regimes?
Yeah. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But what's happening here is like, it's sort of like this naturalistic, you're not contributing anything, you know, no chance of contribution to our well-oiled society. When you're walking, wasting the very air we breathe. And, you know, I'm going to criticize that worldview in a second, but, you know, there is a strong Christian tradition of mistreating people with mental illness and literally demonizing them. You know, like, literally, if you have any form of mental illness whatsoever. But you had like,
I had a somebody that I knew. I wouldn't say too much, and they were having seizures when they were a kid. And like the church was praying and casting demons out of him. So the kid is scared to death that they're having seizures to begin with. And then to have everybody casting demons out of them when it's like, do you know anything about the medical field? I mean, it's a freaking seizure. That's not demons. Like, what the hell, people?
Yeah. I mean, you tell somebody who's like, you know, manic depressive or schizophrenic and all this, and you immediately spiritualize it. Now, I will say as a Christian that I also think there's a spiritual component to a lot of stuff, but all those things should propel you toward compassion. And there's a strong Western, very American Christian tradition of locking these people away and being done with them and moving on with your life and whatever, you know. And so it's like, you didn't want to deal with the fallout, because I will say, like, loving somebody with certain degrees of mental illnesses is a challenge. Like, I was a big challenge to my family for a while. I was, you know, because especially like you become like the center of attention, not in a good way. Everybody's worried 24/7 about what you're gonna do. Everybody's like looking around. Where's Vin? You know. So it's extremely. I was for a while a real burden to my family.
Wow.
And so it's like, and of course when you're outside of it, it's like, can't you just be better? Like, can't you get up out of your bed? Can't you, you know? And at the time, you know, you're 17, 18, you can't really, you know. Now as I'm older, I know how to manage it.
What would you tell yourself if you could go have a conversation with your 17-year-old self?
Oh, I'd say you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna figure out how to live with it. You know, I'd have told myself, I would have been extremely realistic with myself and said, look, you're never not gonna go through this, but you're gonna find a way to manage it and master it so that you can actually live with it. You know. But I had to kind of go through all that and figure out how God worked in the middle of all that and all the rest of it to do that. But, you know, really, I wouldn't have said much to myself. I'd have said a lot to my family. I'd have said, you know, he's going to figure it out. You know, just keep loving him the best you can. Take breaks when you need to take breaks, and, you know, whatever. I would have told my family, because it was really discouraging for them for a while.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know if this person that you love is going to live or die, and you don't know, you know, You just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah, I would talk to my family. I would talk to my mom.
Yeah.
My mom wrote me this poem one time. She couldn't read it to me. She just left it on my bed, you know, because she was just, you know. So yeah.
Heartbroken? What?
It was. She just couldn't. She just couldn't, because she at that point was like, because she struggled with mental illness herself. But when it was really hitting me and she thought I was really getting ran over by it, she kind of took on this very strong matriarchal sort of. And so she couldn't. Now as a parent, I know, because I know that if she would have read it, she would have just lost it.
Oh.
And she had to try to she was trying to maintain some sort of strength to be able to see me through, you know. So she couldn't read it to me, you know.
Do you remember it?
Yeah, I mean, I remember parts of it and all this stuff. So.
I mean, I have one more question. Was it like, I love you, or was it like encouraging, or you'll get out of it, or?
Yeah, I want to talk about
Okay.
But here it's like, ones we've forgotten, labeled as insane, an institution rotting, secret minds and family shame, bound tightly and injected, subdued by pill regimes that spin in it. You know, it's interesting because you do kind of lose your autonomy in those places. And when it says mistreated...
Does it remind you of jails?
Oh, I've never been to jail.
Well, I've never been to jail either, but from what people say about jail...
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, like, my particular experience is there are a group of people that were on power trips and all the rest of it, and it was a really sick, and just in my mind, anytime you bring a whole bunch of people together with mental illness and put them all in the same place, like, there's no way that the environment is not just going to be weird. So, like, a lot of my recollections of that whole time is just very, like, just hazy and just very strange, because it was just strange. You had people, like, you know, because usually in our families, in our collective families, like, we were the freak show.
Yeah.
Well, you put all those people together, it was just a weird situation. But I don't think, I mean, there were people there that were definitely control freaks. Like, you know, I defied this one person and they locked me in this room for hours one time. But I don't really have a problem with solitude, so it didn't bother me. My mother lost her shit, and they had to transfer me to a different hospital after that.
Well.
Because my mom was like, you know, the fuck are you doing to my son? And blah, blah, blah. And she lost her mind. Because she used to work in those facilities, so she's like, well, what did he do? Because there's sometimes, like, he's, you know, 17, you know, it's kind of, you know, and, you know, and she knew that I could get violent. So, so she was like, well, what did he do? And then they basically said, well, he defied an order. And my mom was like, it's like, are you serious? Well, she's like, did he put his hands on it? They were like, no, he never did that. We didn't even bring him into the room. Like, we just told him to go in and he went in. Like, he wasn't. And she's like, are you?
Good for her. Like, I'm glad that
I didn't really see the problem. I was like, whatever.
Didn't even bother you.
Didn't bother me at all. I mean, I just didn't want to be around those people anyway. But my mom, like, you know. But I think she probably knew that
How did she know it happened? Did you tell her?
Well, she went to visit me.
And you were in that room.
And I was in that room. Because I wasn't in I wasn't in the general area. You know, because I think she was thinking, like, if they do this shit, other shit's coming down the pipe. Because she knows that I'm defiant. And that I would have I'd have died before I followed some stupid word. Because she know that. So they brought me to this other place, and the other place was much better. And like, as long as stuff made sense to me, I was fine with it. Like, we had a curfew. You couldn't stay up till 9, 10, in the morning, and then wake up at 5 p.m., which is what that made sense to me. Take your Ambien, blah blah blah. Like, that made sense to me, so I was cool. But the other shit was just ridiculous. So they moved me to a different place. And
do you remember what they asked you to do?
I don't know. It was just something, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you defied an order."
I can't believe you defied an order. Oh my gosh.
And I had just, like, fresh come from New York City, you know what I mean? So it was like, what the fuck is this? I was confused for the most part. I wasn't even defiant. I was just confused. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. What are you talking about? So, like, Some people,
Pride, huh?
some people,
People's pride.
Oh,
That's
well,
it.
yeah,
We
because I
locking you
defied
up.
her in front of all those people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some, like I said, so I don't really know if I could compare it to a prison. I mean, I guess people would have said, oh,
my comparison to a prison is that there's somebody who has an issue. Honestly, the biggest problem that I have is somebody has a drug-related issue. So and then you throw them into jail, and then like we're watching Oz, and I don't know how realistic that is, but people land in these situations where it's very violent in there, and so they're forced to do certain other things to protect themselves from other things. So you're actually you're putting them in a place that's supposed to be a corrective facility, but it's not correcting them. It's making things worse sometimes. And so the whole when people talk about going there, it doesn't seem like that the people are actually getting help. Although you were able to come out and kind of carry on with life without meds, but it seems like people just go in there and just get hopped up on a bunch of meds, and it alters.
Well, I just want to be careful about the meds question because I was on meds. They figured out I was on Wellbutrin, Neurontin, and then for Ambien. There's 5, 6 other things I was on. And there was this one that was really fucking with me. I couldn't remember. I generally have a pretty decent memory. And I couldn't remember my name. I couldn't remember the address because they go through these things with you. What's your name? What's your address? And I couldn't remember. And my doctor was like, "Okay, that's out."
Yeah.
It was a super powerful whatever because I was fucked up. I had a list this
That
long.
makes me feel so claustrophobic.
Of the shit that I was. Yeah, but my doctor was really, really good because she was like, "Okay." Because
they were trying to help you.
It was always a cost-benefit thing because this is going to strip away this aspect of your personality, but at least you'll be stable. You'll have a fighting chance to, whatever. And so I was pretty much in stasis by the time I got out of the hospital. And then, I had my walk with God increased. I chose not to fulfill my first prescription after, and that's what they tell you. You're gonna think you're okay, fill your prescription and stay on your meds. And then
we don't recommend that for anybody.
I don't recommend it. I stopped cold turkey and, God's grace, I ended up being completely fine and I haven't been back there since and, lived happily ever after. What else you want to say? But that's the minority. The majority of people, once they stopped their meds, they ended up right back in there or dead.
Wow.
So, and I just want to be careful about the meds thing because unless you get some clear divine revelation, stay on your meds, please. It just so happened in my particular instance that it worked out.
Yeah.
And I will say the other thing was my doctor had said that a lot of my issues were also environmental, and so once I got out of the hospital, I didn't go back to the previous environment, so that was helpful too. So everybody's case is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. No chance of contribution. Viewed as manure walking. God almighty.
That's terrible.
Rejected, disavowed, buried beneath our shallow smiles.
Wastes the very air we breathe.
I know it.
They're taking the air from us, so that? Is that what it means?
Yeah, waste of space, waste of air. You hear stuff like that. People say so-and-so's a waste of air, a waste of sperm, a waste of whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like...
They should have been aborted. I can't believe when people say something like that.
Oh, yeah?
I feel like that's the wickedest. Oh, how could you say something like that?
Well, I mean...
And I've heard people say it about themselves, which is not wicked to me. That's just sad. How are you going to say that to somebody else?
I stood face to face with a 16-year-old girl told me her mother should have aborted her. Beautiful girl.
Uh-huh. Sad.
Brilliant girl, full of talent, and just...
Yeah.
But that's why, I can't, people think it's beating a dead horse. It's all of these views have implications.
They do, because she didn't sense her own value. She didn't know her own value.
She didn't believe that she was valuable. And what is a guiding presupposition here?
You know what? The other thing, too, was that she had been abused. You hear this argument that people say, well, if their parents would have put them up for adoption, there's a chance they could have gotten abused, so it's better off if they were aborted. So then that's in these kids' consciousness. And then when these kids are getting abused, they're like, I should have been aborted so this wouldn't have happened to me.
Yeah.
No.
I remember looking at somebody and saying, this is the shit that you're telling these kids.
Yes.
Because somebody was right there.
You know how many people get abused?
I know. How many people don't get abused? That's the question.
Yeah.
And it's it's like this thing, where it says, mistreated and molested, mistreated and molested in the facility, but a lot of these kids first of all, 100% of the females that were in that mental health facility where I was, 100% of them, and the vast majority of the males as well, were mistreated and molested. 100% of them. Now, I'm not saying that's a stat. That's anecdotal. So it's like, and it really fucks you up, and it makes it hard to survive, because depending on how young you were, it really, you know. So it's like, yeah, like they don't see their value because they were dehumanized at a very, very, very young age, and that's why I you know, I'm like, we got to be very careful with the shit that we say about humans.
Oh, I agree.
Even if you have a problem with, you know, it's like we were talking about child molesters in a couple videos ago, and I had to stop and say, don't do anything to yourself. Get help and all that, you know. I definitely believe in justice, but once you cross that line of dehumanizing a human being and deciding. See, this is an example. I'm sorry, guys, but this is an example of society deciding which segment of human beings are worth anything. And we still do it today. And the minute you open the door and say there are some Homo sapiens who were allowed to mistreat, dehumanize, kill, or whatever, this happens over and over again. And you end up, when you dehumanize another human being, you end up losing pieces of your own humanity. And you know, I think that's the point of the end when it talks about, the humanity. And it says we've done the damnedest things. That's you know, like, damnedest really literally means worthy of damnation. Like worthy of hell. Like the shit that human beings have done to other human beings is worthy of hell. What's interesting though is that there's sort of a clash of worldviews here, because here he's the worldview that's being criticized is that human beings are only valuable in so much as they can contribute to our well-oiled society. And if they can't contribute to our post-industrial society, then get them out. Get rid of them. Don't kill them. Just put them on the sidelines and get rid of them in that sense. And he's criticizing that and saying that's fucking terrible. Well, the clash is he's saying that there's something about a human that's more valuable than what they can contribute. Well, what is it? I'd like to know. You know? Because it obviously is not as self-evident as we think it is. And that's why, you know, and this is the reason we tell the lines that we tell with certain things. Why is this person valuable? Is it because they can reason? No. Is it because look, their ability to reason is severely affected by their mental illness. So that's not where their value comes from. Is their ability to put syllogisms together? No. Is it their ability? No. They're image bearers of God. Full stop. So you're worth just as much as me, no matter what your issues are, what your inhibitions are. You're worth as much as me. You're crowned with as much glory and honor as I'm crowned with. And when I see you, I'm seeing a representative of God on the earth. And there's no way in hell that you can treat God this way.
It makes you wonder, like, if people had that understanding, how many few beds would be filled at the asylum.
Right.
You know what I mean? And did you see that part? 4 padded walls,
their coffins. Yeah. Underfunded, understaffed.
Yeah. I think all hospital things are understaffed. I worked in the medical field.
And I will say, we were jerks to the, I don't know what you call them, orderlies.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah, but I do remember them working doubles and triples sometimes. Like, I would wake up, they would be there, and I'd go to bed and wake up, and they'd be in the same clothes. Like, just completely stretched thin. I do remember that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what job you're in.
It's job abandonment if they leave. They can't do that. They could be in legal
litigation.
trouble. Yeah.
God almighty.
If they leave. So if somebody else doesn't show up there for their shift, you can't leave.
Yeah. And so, like,
I never liked that.
Definitely some of them were control freaks, but some of them were just exhausted.
Yeah.
And I don't care what, if you do a triple shift.
No.
And you didn't think you were going to do a triple shift.
No.
You're going to be a jerk no matter where you are.
Especially if you had other plans.
Forget it.
And now you miss out on these important family plans because these people, all that.
Yeah.
Did you see, what about this? Denial so disgusting, a life shackled, rusting, and business is booming. We're vampires and should be ashamed. Oh, okay. So because it's vampires sucking blood or like the money.
Well, it's a medical industrial. So,
yeah.
You've got the,
business is booming.
Yeah.
A life shackled, rusting. Wow.
We should be ashamed.
We should be.
It's very, very interesting. Like, Christians should have been at the head of this stuff, saying this is some fucked up shit. So it's like, it's even like when a person doesn't have the worldview that everybody's created in the image of God.
Yeah.
I don't think it excuses them, but there's a certain level of ignorance where I go, look, they were told that there's no real basis for their value.
Yeah. So what did you think was going to happen?
What did you think was going to happen? But you got somebody who you're told. A, you're told everybody's created in the image of God, and B, you have the example of Jesus who went to mentally ill people to help them.
Right.
And this is what we did.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, he went to a city just to talk to that one guy.
Yeah.
Just to heal him.
Yeah. And this is what we do. Like, see, that's the thing. Like, when I make cultural criticisms, like, I'm always pretty much blaming the church first and foremost. Not even if we did something bad, it's you stay silent.
Where did that doctrine come from? Like what that man told me. Like, why?
Well, I mean, there's no historical Christian doctrine on this stuff as far as, like, if you look at
How can you go around being so fearful of something like that? It doesn't even make any sense.
Well, sometimes fear is convenient. And like we always say, the opposite of love...
No, we don't have to go over there.
The opposite
We're not
of love...
supposed to.
Yeah, the opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is fear.
Yeah.
So, like, if you can create some spiritual justification for why you're abandoning these people...
You know why they were saying it.
You have better luck with the atheists than you do with the Christians, because then, if you can convince a Christian that, all those people are demonized and the demon can just jump into you and all that, then forget it. It doesn't matter what you show them. They're not going to help these people. So you have better luck, much better luck with atheists. I don't believe that these brothers are religious at all.
Yeah.
But they still have enough to be able to do that, and they don't have these constructs to inoculate them from human suffering. So we should have been at the forefront of like fixing this shit. I think the only thing that I can really be happy with as far as Christian involvement in social affairs is abortion. Like, we're doing the right thing there. We're doing the right thing there. And 20 years from now, bands are going to be making songs where it says "born unequal." That's what he says.
Yeah.
Born unequal.
Yeah.
There's going to be some secular metal band talking about, conceived unequal.
Yeah.
So I think we have it right there, but that's pretty much it.
Wow.
That's pretty much it. But yeah, we completely dropped the ball on this one, Marshall. It's not even a question.
I remember, I wanted to, I used to talk to all kinds of different people. It didn't matter, and I wasn't afraid, if I saw somebody needed help, I'd go up and talk to them, pray with them, or do whatever, I felt like God wanted me to do. And then I remember, all of a sudden, I realized that there was such a thing. I think I didn't realize that there was even, I don't know what you call it. I feel like it's bad to say insane asylum.
Mental health facility. That's what they
Mental health facility. I didn't realize that was something that still existed, because you used to see it in movies, and it was all these craziness and stuff like that. But I didn't realize that it actually existed. And then I remember saying, I started talking about, well, we should be going in there and visiting people and praying with them and stuff like that. And then when I started saying it, that's when people, not my immediate family. My immediate family don't really remember them saying much about it. Maybe they might have been a little worried, oh, what if she goes in there and, she gets hurt? Because if somebody's mental unstable, you don't know what they're going to do.
Sure.
But yeah, that person came out hard against me on it. Very, very hard. And now I think to myself, how strange, how strange to say such a thing. But then he came from a belief system that believed that. So maybe he was doing it for my best. But I just remember thinking, so we shouldn't help people? We should run around being afraid?
He was doing it.
I don't understand that level.
He was doing it for your best, because as soon as you start doing that shit, it convicts everybody else to go do that shit.
Well, I'm pretty sure I asked him if he would go too, because he had some, he was gifted musically. And so I thought, man, you know, because David played,
Sure.
you know, for Saul.
Sure, it would
Saul
help.
was tormented.
Sure, it
and
would
because
help.
he was tormented, David would play for him, and it would help ease him. And so I thought, let's, you know, bring some people a little bit of peace. I'm pretty sure I asked him, and then that's when that whole discussion started. And
Of course, a lot of the work we did downtown was the before and the after the.
yes,
The
yeah, it was.
You know,
It was.
They were there before, and then after we'd see them after and all that. And, You know, it's tough.
They didn't all have bad experiences there either.
No, but my experience overall was positive.
Yeah.
You know, and I think people, you know, when I was younger, I was like, you only join that just so that you control people, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. But I think people really, you know, sign up to do that type of work because they're trying to not be like this.
Yeah.
They're trying to give people a shot. I had I had this one lady, her son, she'd see my guitar, and she's older, like 70s, and she would sit on my bed and talk to me. And she'd say her son got this like VIP thing with Kirk Hammett, so she used to talk to me about Kirk Hammett.
Oh,
because
really?
She, you know, she saw I had my guitar and I liked music and everything.
Yeah.
And she would, she'd say to me, she said to me, Vin, you're gonna be famous one day. I'm gonna see you on TV one day, she said. So like sometimes, you know,
Think about that.
Yeah, I'm like 7.5 million, you know, like,
Yeah.
she was right.
Yep.
She's probably gone now. I'd love to be able to say, hey, you know, I
Yeah.
made it. I'm okay. I'm all right. You know, I made it. I'm good. You know. But shout out to Dr. Petzel.
Jeez,
Yeah.
Christ, I'm too much of a germaphobe. I wouldn't have sat on your bed. I'd have stood there and talked to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Such a germaphobe.
And I'd stay in that bed for days at a time.
Oh, no. I can't not do it. I'd pull up a chair and I'd have a nice conversation.
Petzel would tell people to leave me alone.
She would?
Yeah, because that's the rules. You got to get out of there. You can't spend more than 12 hours in your room or something like that.
Yeah.
She gave me like just leave it alone.
Oh.
Downstairs. So I'd be in there for 2 or 3 days or whatever.
Jesus.
And then the older lady would come and sit by my bed and talk with me because I wouldn't go outside. You know, so they were really, really good to me. Like like I said, some people were just control feeds, so they're just stretched thin. But other people like took a genuine interest in me and you know, just rooting for me and wanting me to get better. So it's like, you know, I got a lot of people to thank. I wish I could thank them all, you know, because there's a lot of people that definitely have been through a lot of dark shit and seen a lot of dark shit in my life. But I've also seen like, you know, the human kindness that they're lamenting here. Like I saw it because they didn't know me from Adam.
Yeah.
And honestly, those people are a dime a dozen that come in there. You know,
Yeah.
just another troubled kid with
Yeah.
self-harm and suicidal issues and all that. And they, you know, they were really, really good to me. So, shout out to everybody in that field who does that. Because they get forgotten too, you know. Like they,
Yeah.
it's a thankless
It's funny because
job.
they must turn into a, you know, basically walking shit themselves, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's a thankless job because most of the residents aren't grateful to you for
Yep.
anything that you do, and then the family is not very kind to you.
Right.
You know,
you're not going to do everything perfect.
and if you're successful, think about this: like if you're successful, you'll never see them again.
Right. Right.
So you know, like you don't want to ever see a former patient.
And then it's
back
got to be
out.
so hard to not, like, let the job get to you,
Yeah.
you know?
So anyway, everybody that has loved somebody and with a mental illness, thank you. Everybody that has served someone in a mental illness, you know, thank you.
Thank you.
Seriously. Aside from military,
And anybody that's currently struggling with a mental illness,
not today. That's all. Don't do
keep your
anything
head
today.
up. Keep trying. You know, I'm sure there's got to be a way to figure it out. Sometimes it's just overwhelming at the moment. But like he said, not today. No killing yourself today. Have a small goal for yourself. Stay around. Stay with us. Stay with the village.
Then out.
Sorry, out.
Oh, are we voting on this song?
I can give it a 10.
Okay.
Like, I think they communicated that extremely well, and I would not give them anything below
You know what's
10.
crazy? The musicianship was badass. The lyrics
the
was
whole thing.
The lyrics were so deep, but the musicianship was
The whole
insane.
thing, yeah.
So
And then they like went so that way you could hear the words, and then they went hard at the end. Like I was like, this is a 10. 10. I really like them.
Good song.
Very interested to hear another one of their songs.
Yeah.
So you're not voting?
Yeah, it's just too close
Too
to home.
close to home, yeah. I get that.
But good song. Really, really good song. All right. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.